Russia is a country of immense scale. Its story stretches across 1,000 years of history. This immense land has been shaped by conflict, ambition, and profound cultural change. Its journey is not a simple, straight line, but a complex narrative filled with powerful leaders, enduring traditions, and moments of radical transformation that have echoed across the globe. Understanding this nation requires a patient look back through time, exploring the foundations upon which its modern identity is built. This essay will guide you through that long and often turbulent history, breaking it down into clear, distinct chapters. Long before Russia existed as we know it, Slavic tribes settled along the great river systems of Eastern Europe. These rivers, like the Dnieper and the Volga, were the arteries of life and commerce. They were vital trade routes connecting the Baltic Sea, the Byzantine Empire, and the Arab world. Along these watery highways, settlements grew into fortified towns, and a powerful state began to take shape. This first East Slavic state was known as Kievan Rus. Its capital, Kiev, became a wealthy and influential center of trade, politics, and culture. During the 9th century, it was a beacon of civilization in a vast and untamed landscape. The people of Kievan Rus were a mix of farmers, hunters, artisans, and enterprising traders. Varangian elites, Rurik's line, took Kiev, the mother of Rus's cities. A pivotal moment occurred in the year 988. Grand Prince Vladimir the Great made a monumental decision that would shape the cultural and spiritual destiny of his people. After reportedly examining several major faiths, he chose Eastern Orthodox Christianity from the Byzantine Empire. This conversion became state policy. Mass baptisms were held in the Dnieper River, and pagan idols were torn down. The adoption of Christianity brought a written language, Cyrillic, new forms of art and architecture, and a powerful church central to Russian identity. Life for an ordinary person in Kievan Rus was tied to the seasons and the land. A farmer might live in a small wooden house with his extended family, working the fields with simple tools. His life was governed by the church calendar, with its fasts and feast days. The flourishing civilization of Kievan Rus came to a sudden and brutal end in the 13th century. From the vast steppes of the east, a new and fearsome power emerged: the Mongol Empire, led by the successors of Genghis Khan. In the 1230s and the 1240s, Mongol armies known as the Golden Horde swept across the land. Kiev was besieged and destroyed in 1240, marking the collapse of the old state. For over 2 centuries, Russian princes were vassals of the Mongol Khans, receiving yarliks to rule and paying heavy tribute. The Tatar yoke isolated Russia from the Renaissance and Reformation, fostering centralized autocratic leadership. During this subjugation, a small town began a slow ascent: Moscow. Moscow's princes cultivated ties with overlords, collected tribute, annexed neighbors, and championed the Orthodox Church. They persuaded the Metropolitan to move his seat to Moscow, boosting prestige. In 1480, Ivan the Great defied the horde. At the Ugra River, the Mongols withdrew, the birth of a sovereign Russian state. With Moscow now free and ascendant, its rulers began to adopt a new and more powerful title. Ivan III's grandson, Ivan IV, was the first crowned Tsar of all the Russias in 1547. Tsar from Caesar. Moscow as the Third Rome. Ivan expanded the realm, took Kazan and Astrakhan, but ruled with paranoia and the Oprichnina's terror. After his death, civil war, famine, and invasions, the time of troubles. Minin and Pożarski rallied a militia and expelled Polish forces in 1612, a founding tale of unity. In 1613, Michael Romanov was elected Tsar. The dynasty would rule for 3 centuries. Early Romanovs stabilized the state and expanded into Siberia. Autocracy hardened, serfdom formalized, binding peasants to estates and labor. A small village world sustained the manor, but tensions grew, destined to erupt. Section 5, A Window to the West. Peter and Catherine the Great. At century's end, Peter the Great, nearly 7 feet tall, studied shipbuilding in Europe, determined to modernize Russia. His sweeping, often brutal reforms built a modern army and navy, funded by taxes and state factories. He shaved beards, adopted Western dress, reformed the calendar, and simplified the alphabet. His window to the west, St. Petersburg, contrasted sharply with old Moscow. Catherine seized power, corresponded with Enlightenment thinkers, championed arts, founded the Hermitage, and promoted noble education. Territory grew, but serfdom worsened. Glittering courts masked rural hardship. In 1773, Pugachev's revolt erupted and was crushed with brutality, exposing deep social fractures. There's a striking portrait of Peter the Great, determined ships and fortress behind him. Westernizing rulers reshaped the state, yet the social order's foundations remained unbroken, for now. In the summer of 1812, the Russian Empire faced its greatest test since the Mongol invasions. Napoleon led over 500,000 soldiers across the border to force Tsar Alexander I to yield. Russia retreated, burning supplies and crops, denying the invader a decisive battle. At Borodino, just outside Moscow, ferocious fighting caused horrific casualties. Napoleon entered a silent Moscow, expecting surrender. None came. Fires raged for days, destroying shelter and supplies as winter loomed. Forced to retreat, the Grande Armée faced partisans, the pursuing army, and General Winter. Men froze, starved, and sickened by the thousands. Only a broken fraction straggled home. Napoleon's power was shattered. Victory sparked immense pride. The Patriotic War of 1812. Officers encountered liberal ideas, liberty, constitutional government, human rights, and returned with critical eyes. They saw injustice in serfdom, planting seeds of future revolution. The 19th century saw expansion and rising demands for change and national identity. In December 1825, Decembrist officers attempted a coup for constitutional monarchy. Nicholas I crushed it. In 1861, serfs were emancipated, over 23 million freed on paper, but burdened by redemption payments and enduring poverty. Industrialization accelerated in the 1890s, swelling cities and creating a new proletariat. Harsh conditions bred Marxist ideas and revolutionary groups. Even Tsar Alexander II was assassinated. Defeat by Japan triggered 1905 upheavals. Nicholas II conceded a Duma. Too little, too late. World War I brought staggering losses, hunger, and collapse of morale. In February 1917, soldiers refused to fire on protesters. Nicholas II abdicated. 3 centuries of Romanov rule ended. Power slipped into the streets and into new radical hands. A weak provisional government was eclipsed by Lenin's Bolsheviks, promising peace, land, bread. In October 1917, they seized power and built the first communist state. They left World War I and nationalized land, banks, and industry. Civil war raged. Foreign powers aided whites. The Red Army prevailed. The USSR formed in 1922. After Lenin's death, Stalin took control. Forced industrialization transformed the economy. Collectivization and repression brought famine, purges, and mass suffering. The Nazi invasion nearly broke the USSR, but at Stalingrad and Kursk, the tide turned to Berlin. Some 27 million Soviets died. A superpower emerged, locked in a nuclear ideological Cold War. Sputnik and Gagarin led the space race. State control, limited freedoms, economic stagnation. Gorbachev's glasnost and perestroika unleashed forces that ended in the USSR's 1991 collapse. The dissolution of the Soviet Union ended the Cold War and plunged Russia into crisis. Rapid market reforms sold state assets to well-connected buyers. Oligarchs rose as many lost savings to hyperinflation. Safety nets vanished. Life expectancy fell. Crime soared. Global standing diminished. New freedoms arrived with deep hardship and political turmoil. A young girl might see empty shelves one day and glittering ads the next, a mix of poverty and possibility. Vladimir Putin vowed to end chaos, restore state power, and rebuild influence. Oil-fueled recovery lifted living standards as political power, media, and oligarchs were re-centralized under the state. Today, Russia navigates modernization, identity, and a multipolar world, its imperial and Soviet legacies shaping culture, politics, and foreign ties.